Thank you, everyone, for being here. Thanks for your time. It's always nice to talk about things you're passionate about. You know, when you go to a barbecue or a friend's house and it's small talk, you sometimes get bored. So having these webinars, especially the fact that we're creating something exceptional at Bayfield in terms of the course that we're presenting, really advancing everything that we've come to know over the last decade or so. We're very excited to talk to you about the integration of Python into Excel. But I think before we do that, we should probably talk a bit about Excel. It's a staple. It's the reliable software that we all use and we're all became accustomed to and use in our professional lives. But Excel is like that friend that you call up and they love going on mountain bike rides with you and having a good time, going clubbing, going to the beach, having a pina colada here and there. But as soon as you have to move house or you need to clean a house or do something terrible, they usually are not available. That's essentially my experience with Excel when it comes to substantial data handling and doing more sophisticated, complex, task that's mundane and drains your soul. That's where Python comes in, and that's what we're going to discuss today. So I think, in summary, why Python? It's open source, and the reason I am such an enthusiast about Python is because of the syntax and the multiple ways in which you can use Python. You've got different interfaces, you've got Jupyter Notebook, and you've got Spider and various others, but it allows you to essentially follow a sequential process in data manipulation, data analysis, and allows you to visualize it in real time. And what makes it fantastic is it helps you automate these kind of mundane tasks that we have to do on a day-to-day basis, on a manual basis, that just does not help you look forward to going to work on a Monday. And that's why I'm so happy to integrate this into the course that we are preparing, because of that functionality and the automation element of it. Now, we know Excel has some limitations. Excel is hard to scale, especially, let's say you have a real estate financial model on sheet one in your Excel sheet and you want to produce visualizations on the second one, some simulations on the third sheet. The more sheets you have and the more these sheets are linked to one another and the file size of Excel increase, the slower the processing of that functions or that calculation occurs. Now, with Python, you don't have that issue when you integrate it within Excel, which we'll discuss in the next slide. But ultimately, when you have this substantially large Excel file, multiple sheets, it becomes difficult to track where you've made adjustments. It becomes difficult to, determine, okay, which variable should I, use for, or which variable should I adjust to look at this? And it induces human error, which which Python helps avoid. Now, I don't know about you guys, but I have personally experienced many times where I, you know, follow a macro or write a macro and it automates this process for me just for it to break down or for the macro to corrupt and I've lost a file. Now, I wouldn't say that's happened multiple times, but it happened at key times when it wasn't supposed to happen. So I think I just got a bit of a negative connection to that. However, there is definitely a place for macros depending on what you're doing. It's all subject to what you're doing. When it comes to large data and large simulations, which we'll illustrate a bit later, it just makes sense to actually use something that is equipped to do that for you. And the way we do that is using xlwings. Now, we should see xlwings as a package. It's a Python package that's, let's say it's the bridge between your Excel file and the analysis that you're trying to do. So rather than going into Excel and typing out the formulas that you want to do, you have a script on the side and the processing happens outside of Excel. So any type of sophisticated analysis that you're doing, let's say you're running hundreds of thousands of simulations of Monte Carlo, it's done outside of Excel. So it uses the Excel information outside of Excel and then puts the information back into Excel. So it's almost like you're offloading some processing to a different package, but at the same time, you can look at them hand by hand in real time or next to each other and see what is going on whilst you're actually writing or running that script. So it seamlessly connects Python and Excel. It helps you to read files and manipulate live Excel workbooks. You can physically see as you're running the code, this is the manipulation that's happening for you to kind of like do your due diligence in checking if your code is doing the right task. It automates most of these things. For example, you can start, let's say you're working with a large data sample. you can write a single script that can take a data sample from source and produce individual data sets for you to analyze independently and also create visualizations independently. So ultimately, what it does is it truly enhances your existing conventional way of running models or building models. Um, but it enhances this in terms of processing and the versatility that it offers in terms of the information that you can simultaneously look at and produce, where Excel would typically break down. So you can truly enhance your analysis and the capability of your models by adding more information to it, and of course producing more enhanced outputs from it. Now we can look at a bit of an example for that in the later slides within the presentation. So when I think this is this graph, some of these words in your sensitivity analysis, scenario modeling, Monte Carlo, these are buzzwords. These are things that we do as real estate professionals. But let's start at the beginning. When you look at data cleaning, I think most of us would be familiar with some land registry UK price pay data, for example. When you look at the 2020 house price, just the pay data, you've got over 900,000 rows, and that's not even columns. So if you've got 15, you've got 15 columns. You're looking at, roughly 15 million data points. That is a substantial that's just a substantial volume of data for Excel to then, process. So if you just want to delete a column, because, these data types usually have like these property identifiers and all kinds of information that you don't necessarily need. You just want the date, the postcode, and the price of the property and the property type, for example. Deleting those columns is actually going to take like 10 to 15 seconds because of the size. Where in Python you would write a simple script using xlwings and we just trim it out, and you have it, and it will be within a second. So in terms of the cleaning of the data and the information that you're going to use in your model, for example, that's completely automated. And then you can use that information to run something like, let's start with the sensitivity analysis. Now, we should all be familiar with data tables. It's got two dimensions. Let's say we've got the IRR. We want to look at the sensitivity between the initial yield and the exit yield. And then you've got this nice little heat map that shows you the data table. In xlwings and Python, you can do multi-dimensional sensitivity analysis. And what I mean by that is, rather than just looking at the sensitivity of IRR to the initial and the exit yield, you can look at the sensitivity of the IRR versus as many variables as you like. And what makes that very useful is, where in Excel, if you wanted to do that, you'd have to create multiple two-dimensional data tables, within iterations. Let's say there's 5 different variables that you're trying to test. You first have to do variable 1 and 2, then 1 and 3, then 1 and 4, and then 1 and 5. Then you have to do 2 and 3, 2 and 4, 2 and 5, and so forth, where you can just produce this output independently from your model outside for further manipulation and visualization. So you can look at multiple dimensions and really streamline the sophistication of your output using that. Now, in terms of making it a bit more advanced than dynamic scenario modeling, you can take the sensitivity table that you have and you can say, okay, what is a viable investment? What is not a viable investment? What is a extraordinary good investment? What would the output parameters for that be in terms of your return variables? And then you can take that sensitivity analysis, all of those iterations and ranges, variable ranges that you've specified, and you can say, okay, which of those produce the outcome that I'm looking for, and how many of those produce the outcome. Now, that's slightly similar to a Monte Carlo simulation. We'll get to the differences a bit later, but ultimately you're able to do that seamlessly at a click of a button and determine the viability of your investment, just by running a small script, where you would have done a lot more manual labor trying to do that in Excel. Monte Carlo simulations, if you try to run 100,000 iterations based on 5 or 10 different input variables in Excel, it will break down. I've tried just to make sure that I can actually state that. But what makes this wonderful is you can actually do the computation outside of Python. And many of the packages within Python, the functions you use within your syntax already has embedded within it the calculation, which means it's so much faster in computing, and the computing power is so much less. It's still going to take time, don't get me wrong, and you'll see it when you run these things. But you don't have the risk of your file breaking down or the information that's now changed because of the Monte Carlo simulation. You need to save a separate Excel file just to make sure that when it breaks, you don't have to worry about it. And then finally, you can use all this information and effectively, just provide a nice report, automate all of the information and the visualizations you've produced outside of Excel and import it back into Excel if that's what you want, or just export these images or these tables in a format that you can easily use within a report by the click of a button. So what does this look like? I mean, we just spoke about sensitivity analysis. Over here on the right, you'll see a sensitivity table. So this is a two-dimensional sensitivity table. It's the same as the data table approach we would use in Excel. But the difference is with a single insert of code, I was able to produce 5 of them based on different growth rates. So you effectively have the sensitivity of the IRR to the initial yield and the exit yield deviations or deltas per growth rate: 3%, 4%, 5%, 6%, and 7%. And what you can do is, let's use the previous example. Let's say we've got 5 different variables. You can use each of those 5 individual variables as the core variable. In this case, it's the growth rate, and run whatever iteration of 2 variables that you want as many times as you want and plot them all on the same scope. So you'd be able to easily visually see where the sensitivity lies. Now, of course, we use heat maps because that's what we're used to. It's easily visible, but you specify the output visualization. In this instance, I used heat maps, but nothing's going to stop you from creating a 3-dimensional chart. Now, I don't typically use those because it's not very user-friendly. It's widely used in academia and very scientific reports. Maybe for our purposes, it's not useful, but the functionality definitely is there. So you can simply just change the inputs rather than having to rerun the entire data table every single time by just changing a variable name within an entire script, and it would produce the entire thing for you as if it's brand new. And then you sometimes want to see, okay, we've now conducted this sensitivity analysis. Let's look at some probabilities. Let's look at some distribution. And that's where the dynamic scenario model comes in. And we say, okay, we feel that a good investment should be above 10% IRR, and excellent would be above 12%. A viable investment should be in line with our target rate, etc. And you specify those ranges yourself. And based on the sensitivity table, that multifaceted, that multivariate sensitivity table you've now created, you can group them into viable, good, below average, poor, and excellent, and at the same time produce like descriptive statistics of each of those samples. So for example, here we've got, in this instance, excellent is 91 out of all of the iterations in the sensitivity table that we've used. 91 of them are excellent, and it's got an average of a 22% IRR. I definitely want to invest in that property. But you can essentially visualize these outcomes. You can create the statistics necessary to just enhance the insights that you receive and really help you make better decisions, because the more information, the more ranges you have, and the easier it is to see how the outcome variable varies based on the inputs that you've assumed, the easier it is to make informed decision. And in this course that we're developing, we start with from the beginning through to the end to fully automate your entire process. So I would highly recommend you request a brochure and take a look. But and then finally, Monte Carlo simulation. We're all familiar with what it is. The difference between Monte Carlo simulation and the dynamic scenario model and sensitivity analysis is Monte Carlo is all about randomness. So I think that's the simplest way to explain it. So you would still specify, okay, in my variable range for initial yields, it's going to range between 4% and 7.5%. My growth rate is going to range between 2% and 4.5%. My capex expenditure is going to be X of this. And you still need to specify those ranges. But what Monte Carlo does for us is it runs all of these variables randomly based on the iterations that you specify. So you can say, okay, run 100,000 iterations using 10 different variables and produce a distribution that shows me how many times the IRR is actually exceeding the target rate. And you would essentially come to a point where you can say, okay, X percentage of iterations, let's say 60% of iterations, are actually positive. When we compare that to our dynamic scenario model, it's a bit lower, which you can expect because of the randomness in there. But collectively, the sensitivity analysis, the dynamic scenario model, and the distribution of your output for the Monte Carlo is all three essentially strong robustness measures for the investment viability that you are trying to achieve and trying to signal. And you can effectively do all of these things at the click of a button. So I think to summarize, let me just check my time here. Yes, so I'm reasonably better on time this time around. Thanks, Sonia. So you can, in principle, have a model. Now, if you work in the real estate profession, you probably already have a model. If you do not, Bayfield can help with that as well, learn you how to do that. But in principle, regardless of what your model looked like, you can use Python to integrate that into your model spreadsheet, conduct all of the sophisticated analysis that you're looking for individually, and then collectively run a script, the sensitivity script, the dynamic script, the dynamic scenario model script, and the distribution script, and then ask it to export all of that into a specific file format for you for further interpretation or discussion. And that is all pretty much at a click of a button. So in conclusion, Python is very versatile. It's very useful. It makes our life so much easier. And I don't know if most of you've seen, some of the information in the jobs report and, what industry professionals are actually seeing as a very valuable. We discussed that briefly in the previous seminar. But, analytical skills and having some programming skills and system thinking, which this effectively is, it's going to be in high demand, and it already is. So if you feel that there are certain areas that you like to sharp up, and if you feel that, these advanced analytics and incorporation into our conventional way of building models is something that you like to explore further, I would highly suggest you take a look at the course that will become available